Welcome to this episode of Science with Matthew. We are at the South Row Science Fair, and joined with us here tonight is the principal of South Row School, Dr. Molly McMahon. Thank you so much for having us taping again at the Science Fair this year.
Thank you for being here. It's really exciting.
Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to see tonight at the Science Fair?
Sure. You're going to see projects in K through 4th grade. Students, it's optional for them to participate, but they do prepare a display board in which they talk about their experiment, their hypothesis, the steps they took, and then a lot of times they have something to display besides just writing on their board. It's an exciting night. You'll see a variety of projects, anything from density to volcanoes to air control. You know, they pick it all out. The students themselves with their parents work on it, and then they present them here tonight. It's a very exciting evening.
All right, well, let's go have a look at some of the projects here this evening at the Science Fair at South Row School.
So the name of my project is Got Guts.
And what's your name?
Samita.
And what grade are you in?
2nd grade.
All right, tell us about your project here.
So this is about the digestive system. So the first you chew your food, and then it goes down a tunnel called the esophagus, and then in the esophagus it comes into the stomach, and in the stomach juices called enzymes and acid mixed with it to make it further broken up. Then it goes into the small intestine, where bile juice from the liver and enzymes from the pancreas come and mix with it to make it so the body can get energy. And then it goes into the large intestine. Some food cannot be digested. That food goes in the large intestine, and then from the large intestine the waste comes out of the body.
Wow, I am so impressed that you know all this, and you did a really nice job with your project.
And this is like a model.
Can you tell me what this looks like?
So this is like a model about how cool the digestive system is. So you put this acid ball in, and it goes down the esophagus, and then it starts to fizz in there a little bit. And then it goes in the small intestine, and then the body gets energy. And then it comes into large intestine, and then the waste comes out of the body.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. You did a great job.
Yes.
What's your name?
Pranav.
And what grade are you in?
2nd.
2nd grade. Okay, what did we study here with this flashlight?
Well, I'm studying making more electricity.
This is not a normal flashlight, is it?
It's not normal.
Tell me about what you did.
Today I'm going to show you how I generate electricity with my muscle power.
Okay.
In this flashlight there is no electricity. Cranking the handle moves a coil which generates electricity. I can use this resource when there's no electricity at home or road.
Could you give us a demonstration, please?
Sure.
Excellent. So by using the mechanical handle here, you are able to create the electricity?
Yeah.
All right. Nice job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Making a squiggle machine. So the battery is under here. So the energy goes through the wires and then into the motor, which spins the cardboard piece. And then once it hits, the cardboard piece will hit the main part of the squiggle machine. And then once it does that, it'll vibrate the whole thing, which will make the pens scribble.
So is it a circuit?
Yeah, basically.
And you're basically able to do the drawing through that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice job. Thanks so much for showing that to us.
Okay.
Can you tell me what's your name?
Gabriel.
And what grade are you in?
1st.
All right. So you were looking at what? Vegetables?
Pickled vegetables.
Pickled vegetables. And what did you look at to see if they had any what?
Voltage.
Voltage. All right. So how'd you do the experiment?
How did I do it? So first I took a pickle and chopped it up into 4 pieces and put 4 nails in each of the 4 pieces and then 4 pieces of copper in all 4 pieces.
And what did you find out?
It could light up that light bulb over there.
Is that right? So you get the energy from the pickles to light up the light bulb?
Yes, I did.
And it's lit up right now?
Yes, it is.
Nice job, buddy. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
All right. Are you Philip?
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
I'm in grade 3.
Grade 3. Can you tell us about your project?
So it's called Heroes Fountain. It's gonna stop in a second because air is getting down here. Water is the only thing that's supposed to get down here, which goes into the bottom bucket and creates air pressure, which gets forced up a tube into this bucket and forces water back up and out this, back into here.
Excellent. What made you interested in studying this?
My father.
Your father? Great. Did you do this with him?
Yeah,
Nice job with it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
you're welcome.
Can you tell me your name?
Kiana,
And what grade are you in?
4th grade.
All right. So, levitating top. What's that?
A levitating top is this thing right here.
All right.
So this is the base plate, and this is the levitating plate, lifting plate, and this is the spinning top. And this is metal, and inside of this is all metal. So, well, magnet,
Yes.
and you have to spin the top.
Wow. Very nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
All right, George, what grade are you in?
4th.
4th grade. And what did you study here with rocks and minerals?
Well, my topic is about testing them. And, well, there's different tests to identify a rock and the name of it.
All right, so tell me about some of the different rocks.
So, I'll take the streak plate and rub it on rose quartz because that's the lowest on the hardness scale that I have. So I'm going to scratch it on the streak plate, and you see it makes a scratch. And if I take this copper penny, which is 3.5 on the hardness scale, it's going to make no scratch because the streak plate is hardness 7 and the copper penny is 3.5.
So this is the way for classifying the different rocks and minerals?
Yes. If it's above the rock that you're testing, then you can scratch it on that rock. But if it's below the rock, it won't make a mark.
Perfect. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Nice job, buddy. All right, so what's your name?
Audrey,
And what grade are you in?
4th.
And you were talking about density?
Uh-huh.
How do you measure density?
Mass divided by volume.
Very good. And how did you look at it for your project?
Well, I did a couple experiments. The first one, the results were this, and they all were different densities, so they made layers, but these two mixed. And in my second project, I had an egg and a glass of water, and I kept adding teaspoons of salt to the water until the egg would float because the water was denser than the egg. And then in my other experiment, I added sugar, different amounts of sugar to some glasses, and then I added food coloring to them, and the final product was layers of different colors. And one other small one is 2 rocks, and one rock was, they were the same size, but one rock was twice as dense as the other rock, and I measured that by using the graduated cylinder.
Great job. Very knowledgeable. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Rishi.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th.
All right, motion and energy. What did you look at here?
So what I looked at in motion and energy is what I mainly did was in the motion and energy was here I learned about how energy can change. See here, the potential energy will become kinetic energy, which makes this thing move.
And what does you do with the solar racer?
Oh, the solar racer. You need the sun to. The solar racer will absorb the energy from the sun and will make the car go.
Nice job. Thanks so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Nice job, buddy. Can you tell me your name?
My name is Garima Lalwan.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th grade.
And you were looking at density, huh? What's
Yeah.
density?
The density of an object is how tightly packed together the atoms or molecules in the object are. And the formula for density is mass divided by volume.
Very nice. So what did you do for your experiment?
Well, actually, I did 3 experiments.
All right, tell us about that.
My first experiment is the 7-layer density tower. In this experiment, I took 7 different liquids and I poured them one by one slowly into a cup. And I found that these liquids did not mix. Later, I found out that this was because all these liquids had different densities. After the liquids had set, I decided to add 5 objects to this. The board game die, the penny, and the nut sank to the bottom. The ping pong ball floated on top of everything. And the grape tomato, which I found very interesting, was floating in the middle of the water.
Now, if it floats in the middle of the water, what does that mean? Do they have the same density?
That's what I'm thinking.
Excellent.
And my second experiment is the 6-layer sugar water rainbow density. And in this experiment, I take 6 different cups of water and I add different colors into each of them. And then I put different amounts of sugar into each of them. The one with the most sugar will, like when I pour these into a cup, the one with the most sugar will stay at the bottom. This is because it's the most dense. The sugar makes it denser. And the one with no sugar will stay on top because it's the least dense.
You did a great job and you're very knowledgeable about that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job. Can you tell me your name?
My name is Kylie.
And what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th grade.
All right, so you made your own lava lamp? How'd you do that?
Well, I took water and filled it with 3/4 of a measuring cup, and I filled the rest of it with vegetable oil, and then I put 10 drops of food coloring in, and then I put I split 2 Alka-Seltzer tablets in half and put them in, and then that's what made the bubbles.
And then you have the food coloring in for the different colors?
Yeah.
Could you flip one over so we can maybe see a little demonstration of the lava?
Well, I actually have to put
Oh, put that in perfect. Do you have any Pink Floyd music to go with this?
No. No, it's not rubber.
That's great.
Thank you.
So was your hypothesis correct?
Yes.
The oil sat on the top?
Yeah.
And then what happened when you put in the Alka-Seltzer?
It started to fizz.
Started fizz. Okay, great job. Thanks so much for telling us about it and the demonstration. So Nicholas, what grade are you in?
4th.
4th grade. Solar energy and solar cells. What made you interested in that?
Well, I was first thinking about doing magnets, but that would be a lot of money because we don't exactly have a lot of magnets to do that.
Okay.
And my dad had this solar panel, so I picked that.
So you laid the solar panels out so it faced the light source?
Yeah.
And then what were you testing to see what?
Which filter produces the most and least volts.
Which one had the most?
Had the most? Yellow.
Yellow was the most?
Yeah. This is regular right here. And with yellow, it's like a lot, it's just a little less. And I'd say the least is either red or purple. But I'd say purple is the darkest because it's I'm going to say 1.2.
Wow, what about black? Did you try black too?
Not counting black.
Oh,
black is,
not counting black.
Yeah, not counting black. But black is all the colors.
Okay.
It was about nothing. It
Great.
was 2.8 because at home because we were out in the sun at that time. But here it's just lights and there's not enough, so it would be nothing.
Well, great job with this. Thanks so much for sharing it. Thanks, buddy.
Welcome.
Can you tell me your name?
Anika.
What grade are you in?
4.
And you're talking about falling leaves?
Yeah.
What's your project?
How leaves get their colors.
Can you tell me about that?
So there's this chemical called chlorophyll in the leaves that keeps the leaves green. And once it gets colder, it goes slower. So it sort of, you can see the other colors in the leaves. So like in the spring it's really warm, so there's like green and you can see it. But as it gets like colder and colder, it becomes like red and then brown. And then once it's winter, since it's so cold, the leaves are like fall off the tree because there's like nothing to help them stay there. There's no like energy.
And do you have a joke to share with us?
Yeah.
What's the joke?
What do you call a scientist who carry the dictionary in her jean pockets?
What do you call it?
A smarty pants.
Smarty pants, very good. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay.
The trio.
Great. What's your name?
Caroline.
Caroline and?
Nina.
Nina.
Jocelyn.
All right. What grade are you girls in?
4th.
4th grade. Okay, so how crystals are formed? Who would like to start? Go ahead.
So, my crystal's the salt crystal, and we basically just put Epsom salt in hot water and kept mixing it until the Epsom salt didn't stop dissolving, and then we pour it into a glass jar. It takes about 1 to 2 weeks for it to form on a piece of like thread or something, and then but we put the thread, we wrap it around a pencil and let it hang into the jar. So that's what it forms on. And then, but since the Epsom salt, it made it like, this is the salt crystal and made it like spiky.
Ooh, nice.
So
this one was
it's
yours?
very delicate, yeah.
Perfect. Could I see yours? Which one was the one you did?
Mine was the sugar crystals.
Sugar crystal, okay.
So mine are blue, and mine is with water and sugar. So you'll get this really thick syrup, and then it'll be in a glass container with a string or yarn, and then it will evaporate into a crystal, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to do that.
Perfect. And who's the last one? What was yours? Come over here.
Okay. I made the crystal needles. So you need Epsom salt, water, and a fridge pretty much. So you get to mix the warm. So you have warm water, and you have to mix the warm water with the cold fridge. And so you put the warm water and Epsom salt into a bowl, and then you keep putting in the Epsom salt and stirring it until the Epsom salt stops dissolving, and then that's when you know you can put it into the fridge. And then the Epsom salt forms these these needle-like crystals, and so when they're finished, you end up scooping them out, and they look like that.
Great job. Thanks so much, girls, for sharing that. You're all very knowledgeable. Can you tell me your name?
Patrick.
What grade are you in, Patrick?
First.
1st grade?
I'm Brendan, and I'm in 4th grade.
Very good. So what are we talking about here with fingerprints?
The types of fingerprints, and I have a hypothesis and a question. So my question was, do families have the same fingerprints? I thought that since the parents have different fingerprints, the kids would have different fingerprints too. But I found out that the kids can share fingerprints with their parents, and in my family, me and my brother got the tent arch from Mom.
So do you have similar fingerprints to your brother?
Kinda.
Is there some parts that's similar and some parts that's different?
Yeah.
Did you find that out through your experiment, and did you do some reading on it?
Well, he did. My mom read to me, and he did all the reading books. And I had a question, and it was, what types of fingerprint patterns are there? And I can see the right there, the arch, the tent arch, right loop, left loop, double loop, right pocket loop, left pocket loop, and one mixed figure. So that's what my question, and now I know that I know all those types of fingerprints.
Excellent. Nice job, both of you. Very knowledgeable. Nice job, boys. Nathaniel, is it?
Yeah.
What grade are you in?
4th grade.
All right, so what are we talking about here with lightning?
So I'm talking about how protons and electrons form to make lightning.
How does that work?
So when the protons gather at the top of the cloud, and when the electrons gather at the bottom of the cloud, it makes an electrical charge because they're opposites. The opposites are always attracted to each other. So when they come together, it makes an electric shock. It's called lightning.
And does the lightning start up in the clouds or on the ground?
It starts up in the clouds when it forms, and then it comes down to the ground.
Very good. Very knowledgeable. Nice job, buddy.
Thanks.
Thank you. Can you tell me your name?
Bashika,
And what grade are you in?
4th.
And does it sink or float? How did you experiment with that?
So I'm doing density. So I'm using these glasses and these grapes. So this is pure water, and it has 1 grape in it. The grape has more density, so it goes to the bottom. This
So you're altering the density of the liquid?
Yeah. This one is sugar water, so it has so much sugar, it has more density than the grape, so the grape floats. This one, I put half the glass with that same amount of sugar, sugar water, and then the other half with normal water, which makes it float in the middle.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So by altering it, the grape is always the same.
Yeah, it's just the water that changes.
Excellent. Nice job. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me your name?
Ella,
And what grade are you in, Ella?
2nd.
Okay, let's talk about this here. Does color influence taste? How did you study that?
I took apple juice and I put food color in 2 of the cups, and then we had 20 people drink it and try to guess what it was. For A, lots of people got it wrong.
So most people got A incorrect. They weren't able to say that it's apple juice. What about B?
Lots of people got it right.
But the actual apple juice without any food coloring, did that have the most number of people got it correct? All right, so what were your conclusions? Did you have any conclusions?
My conclusion is sight does affect someone's ability to taste because they look at the color to help them figure out what they are drinking. The people who guessed wrong all picked flavors that matched the color they were drinking. Even though our eyes do not actually help with taste itself, they definitely help us figure out what we are eating, drinking when we do not know.
Well, you did a great job. Thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Welcome.
So this is a hole, and the light, it goes in from this hole and it hits this mirror, and then the light, it goes down and hits this other mirror, and then it goes through this hole. So if you look, you can see a circle.
Can you show us with that flashlight?
Yes. So I put the flashlight in here, and you can look inside, and you will see
Let's take a look.
and you can see inside.
Very good. And who was the first person to invent this, you said?
Johann Gutenberg, he also invented the printing press. He made it in the 1430s to see over a crowd.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So tell me, Jack, what grade are you in?
3rd.
And what are you making here for your project? It's a very popular one.
What is blood made of?
All right, so what did you do to investigate it?
Well, these are white blood cells, these are red blood cells, these are platelets, and this is the water's the plasma.
And we can see what percent is made up of blood. You said 55% is plasma. What are the other percentages?
Platelets is 0.17, white blood cells is 0.1, and 45% of red blood cells.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Can you tell me your name?
Steven,
And what grade are you in?
3rd.
Can you tell me how you study electric circuits?
So I found out some of it online, and I already knew some of it.
What is an electric circuit?
So it is a path where electrons from a source like a battery flow.
So can you tell us about what your demonstration is here, your project?
So I made an electric circuit. When you use the remote, it lets the electrons go through the infrared piece, making the motor spin.
And because it's a closed circuit, it'll work?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Nice job. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
And you're talking about the floating orb? What's that?
It's just a orb with mile are tinsel that can float by using static electricity.
Oh, can we get a little demonstration?
Yes. So right now this would be positive, and once I rub this like 20 seconds, this will turn negative.
Tinsel.
The tinsel is positive. Once it hits it, it makes it negative, and then it repels. And all 6 strands are negative, so that makes it an orb.
Okay, let's take one more demonstration when you're ready.
Okay.
Wait, where's my mom?
Nice job. That was a good one. Nice demonstration. Thank you. What's your name?
Kylie.
And what grade are you in?
4th.
And what are we studying here?
Simple machine.
Simple machines. What did you do?
So me and my dad built it together. Well, we built the pyramid together, and then we built it out with Legos.
And you have a pulley?
Yep. Pulley, wedge, inclined plane, and wheel.
Great job. Thanks for showing that to us.
You're welcome.
Vincent, what grade are you in?
I'm in 3rd grade.
You're in 3rd grade, and you're talking about foaming monsters?
Uh-huh.
All right. Can you give us a little demonstration?
Like you want to know how they
Yeah,
work?
that'd be great.
So you put vinegar, you put them halfway, and then basically you get some of that Dawn trial size, and you squirt it inside, and then you get some of the food coloring. You squirt like 20 drops inside of it. You get the baking soda, you put it inside, you shake it, and then all the foam will come out.
I see. Can we see what it looks like?
Okay. Just get this, open it up. Sorry.
So the baking soda and the acid.
Yep. Put it in here. And I just gonna shake it. Shake, shake, shake. And it will be coming.
Yep. And so this turns into now not a normal monster, but a foaming monster. Is that correct?
Uh-huh. All the bubbles come out and it foams everywhere. Like I mixed colors on this one.
Oh, here he comes.
Ah.
Right out of his head.
Yeah. His eyes get all wet after. And then I can't use them. And if you try to do it again, you have to wait for the foam to stop. And then you can put more inside of it and more will come out.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vincent. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay.
What's your name?
Joshua.
And what grade are you in?
3rd.
And what's your name?
Tarun.
And you in?
I'm in 4th grade.
You're in 4th grade. So, sail car versus glide car. What's that?
We had a race versus a sail car and versus a gliding car.
So one of them uses wind?
One of them uses wind and one of them just uses glide.
Uses glide. And which one was faster? Can you tell me?
For the fan test, the faster one was the sail car, and for the ram test, the glide car was faster.
So what did you learn from the experiment?
We learned that the gliding car went faster on ramp and fan.
Great. Nice job, boys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me your name?
Hattie Aldea.
And what grade are you in?
3rd.
3rd grade. Light line. What's that?
It means it's telling that light goes like in a straight line. We're proving that light goes in a straight line. So if we take this, we flash it here, it's gonna show a light there. But now, if we move it, the light doesn't show. If we bring it back, it shows. We use this small stick to put it through to make sure that that the holes are in a straight line. You pull this back. Uh-oh. What does here? Do you want me to read you what I used?
Sure, why don't you tell me your conclusion?
Our conclusion is that light goes in a straight line. We used 3 small boards with holes in each. We used a big black light, and we used light shows on a big circle only when the holes are in a straight line.
Well, great
We
job.
use those big to make these even out, to make the foam even out.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Good job.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What's your name?
Anusha,
And what grade are you in, Anusha?
second.
Okay, so what did you study for your project?
I did water defying gravity.
Ooh, can you give us a little demonstration? Tell us what you did.
Yeah. So in the video it will show you what happens.
Okay. So what's happening in this? You put glass over it?
Yeah, and then
The candle goes out?
Yeah, and then the water rises because the air inside the glass is hot and the air outside the glass is cold. So because of the pressure, the water rises, and the candle goes out because there's limited air inside the glass.
Oh, very knowledgeable. Great project. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me your name?
Billy,
Billy, what grade are you in?
second.
All right, and what are you studying here with these remotely operated vehicles?
ROVs, which in this case it is an underwater vehicle, and there's floats here and 2 motors, 2 propellers.
Did you build this?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you give us a demonstration? What got you interested in building and using one of these ROVs?
Online.
Online? Excellent. What's your name?
Ella,
And what grade are you in, Ella?
second grade.
Second grade. So, what are you studying with the Earth and the Moon?
How far, if you scale them down, how far away are they, and how small would they be and big would they be compared to each other in size?
So, tell me what these pictures mean, how far away you were.
So over here we took from the camera from where the Earth was supposed to be, and we took a picture of the moon. And then over here we took it from 319 feet from where the Earth was all the way to the sun.
And we can see on here, this is the Earth and this is the Moon. So these are the sizes of the Earth and the Moon and how far apart they are to scale. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Nice job.
Yes.
What's your name?
Samita,
And what grade are you in?
second.
Second grade. Okay, so the life cycle of a...
Monarch butterfly.
All right, can you tell us about that through your demonstration here?
First, it's eggs, and then it's a caterpillar, and then the caterpillar has to eat a lot so it can become into a chrysalis, and then the chrysalis becomes into a butterfly.
And about how long does this whole process take? Do you know?
No.
I think it's about a month. Have you ever read the book The Very Hungry Caterpillar?
Yes.
One of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And then after 2 to 5 weeks, the adult butterfly will reproduce and lay eggs?
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for showing this. Looks a great demonstration you
You're
made.
welcome. Thank you.
What's your name?
Sarah,
And what's your name?
Mia,
Mia, what grade are you in, Mia?
second grade.
And what grade are you in, Sarah?
Second grade.
All right, so flower power. What's that mean?
The color changing flowers turn into the color comes into the flowers.
So what did you do for your project? Can you tell me what this is?
They're white carnations with 20 drops of food coloring in each cup and the same amount of water.
And how long were they in this particular colored water?
The fastest ones changed about in 20 minutes, and then the slowest ones took about a day.
Can you tell me how this actually happens? How does it change color?
So the flower absorbs the colored water, and then the color from the water comes into the flower petals because the water is colored and not just plain water, that it would keep the carnations white.
Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Good job. Can you tell me your name?
Sahana,
Sahana, what grade are you in?
second grade.
Second grade. Fun with springs. What's that?
So we use springs a lot every day. Springs are very useful. Springs are also fun. Have you realized some of your toys have springs in them? There are 5 different types of springs. The first one is compression spring. Compression spring is where you push the two ends together and they come back to where they started. Example is a pen, these toys, a jack in a box. The second spring is extension spring. It's where there are two ends and you pull them apart and they come back together. And
What's the third spring?
The third spring is spring clips. It's where there are two ends and when you take them apart, they come back together. Example is bobby pin and a paper clip.
Great.
The fourth type of spring is a torsion spring. Example is a safety pin and a hair clip, a hole puncher, a staple remover, and a pin.
And what about the last one, the clock spring?
It's where you wind the spring up and it unwinds on its own. So that thing I glued there has a clock spring in it, and this one has a clock spring in it, and this clock has a clock spring in it. So when you wind this up, you're winding up the clock spring, and then it just unwinds.
Okay, great job. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And what grade are you in, Kartik?
First grade.
Okay, so tell me about fun with density. What are we studying here?
First we took a jar and we just put it in the middle, and then we took some water and we poured it in the cup, and then later we put some fruit coloring and it just was in the middle right there, and then other thing we done, then we put some corn syrup and it's laying down on.
And so the
bottom.
the objects that were more dense, they ended up
Sinking down some and floating up some.
And the ones that were less dense end up floating?
Yeah.
And with the density it says here, is it comparing the mass to the...
Yeah. The mass was the marbles and the rubber ball.
Mass
and
and volume.
Even that raisin. And it's so weird, it has less weight, so I don't know why it's sinking down in the food coloring. So it has less weight there. But even that, about the marshmallow also, it's a little big, but it's medium size. And it's laying on the top of the cup.
Is it because it's the least dense of everything in the cup?
Yeah, less dense of it.
Less dense. Well, great job. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you. What's your name?
Arshia,
And what grade are you in?
grade 1.
Okay, you're looking at the flotation of objects?
Yes.
What different objects did you look at to see if they float?
I looked at a steel ball, a wax candle, and a steel bowl.
And so which ones end up floating and which ones sunk in the water?
The steel ball sunk in the wax candle, and the steel ball floated.
And does that have to do with the density of each of the objects?
Yes?
Yeah, so the more dense objects sunk?
Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Hi, are you Samantha?
Yeah.
What grade are you in, Samantha?
Second.
Second grade. So can you taste the difference? What did you do for this project?
I used all these different waters to see if people could taste the difference between them.
All right, so we used Poland Springs, tap water, Voss. What is that? Voss, smart water, and then filtered water. And what did you ask people to predict it, or how did you test it?
Yeah, I asked some people to test them, and these are two of the people who tested them.
And which ones were people the most accurate on?
The
most correct guesses was the
tap
water. And some of the comments people made about the tap water were what?
Gross, minty, slimy, bitter, and unpleasant.
which water was people's favorite? Did they have a favorite?
No, not really.
No. What was your favorite?
The Poland Springs.
The Poland Springs was your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, so what's your name?
Luke,
And what grade are you in?
4th.
Nocturnal creatures, what are those?
They're animals that hunt and eat at night.
So tell me about some of the animals that are nocturnal.
Some of them are skunks, opossums, raccoons, red foxes, fisher cats, white-tailed deer, owls, bats, and bobcats.
Now, if they're nocturnal, it does not mean they sleep all day, correct?
Yeah,
What does it mean?
they sleep in part of the day and then they do their hunting and eating at night and all their things that some other animals do in the day.
Which nocturnal animal is your favorite?
Maybe the fisher cat or the owl.
Nice. All right. Nice job. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Thanks, buddy. Can you tell me your name?
Cecilia.
And what grade are you in?
4th.
And you talked about locks, huh?
Yes.
What did you investigate on locks?
We investigated on what do locks do, how they work, and can any key fit into a lock.
And how did you investigate that?
My mom bought this on Amazon. It's a clear lock, and when these springs are lined up with one of these keys, it can Thanks, Mom. It can open the lock up.
Oh. So that's how you know when the key works, when all the springs line up?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Nice job. Chris, what grade are you in?
4th.
4th grade. And you looking at static electricity?
Yeah.
What did you do?
So what I did, I used 2 Coca-Cola cans and I used some bottles as conductors to make a bell. So basically what I do, I take a balloon, I rub it on my head, and it will make a bell.
Can we get a quick demonstration? So what should we be seeing?
It should be hitting the sides.
Moving back and forth?
That's what I basically is moving weirdly, but it's not moving fully.
All right. That's all right.
Yeah, at my house, I had to go crazy.
Yeah.
It's like,
You know what? You've probably been doing all night. You're running out of your static electricity in your
Yeah.
hair. Nice job, though. Thanks for showing that to us. So what's your name?
Alexis.
And?
Riley. Sydney.
All right. Can you tell us about what we're doing here with the history of what?
Heroes Fountain.
Okay. Can you tell us what we're doing here?
So it's a fountain made out of pipes and some bottles. So water goes in a pipe, it pushes it down here, which pushes air up here. In order to make this go up.
Can you give us a little demonstration?
Well,
Can we see it?
It's working right now.
Oh, is it working?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just
Barely working.
I see. So it's constantly occurring?
Yeah.
See if we can load it up a little bit more. Oh, Bobby, can you grab that just so it doesn't tip?
We got it.
Oh, so you can see the water. Is that?
That's it.
Go ahead. Tell me a little about it. How does it work? Can you tell me about the air supply?
So the air is trapped inside the bottle. So and then you fill this up all the way, and then you leave like a little instrument. This goes down to this one, goes up here, makes the air push up to here, and makes it go.
Great job. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Good teamwork. Can you tell me your name?
Samadhi,
And what grade are you in?
3rd grade.
And what did you learn about the moon?
That there's a lot of places in the moon, and there have different faces of the moon.
What are the different phases?
The new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter, and waning crescent.
So waxing means it's getting bigger, waning means it's getting smaller.
Yes.
Great job. Thanks for sharing that with us. What's your name?
Ty Longo.
And what grade are you in?
Third.
And you were talking about what, snakes? What are we looking at here?
Dangerous animals.
All right. So which are some dangerous animals and what makes them dangerous?
Well, a blue-ringed octopus has poison, and
What about the tiger? What does he have?
claws and teeth.
So he can bite you?
Yeah.
And what does this guy have who has the poison power?
That's a Gila monster and a blue-ringed octopus.
Ooh. And then the serious snakes, what are these guys? Which ones are the serious ones?
Rattlesnakes and pythons.
And which one's the most dangerous of all?
A mosquito.
Mosquito, why that? Why is that?
Because it carries a disease.
Ooh. So we have to be most careful about the mosquitoes then, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't think the disease is around here, so.
Well, that's good to know. Thanks so much, Ty, for sharing that with us. Can you tell me your name?
Isabella.
And what grade are you in, Isabella?
Third.
Third grade. So you were doing an exploring volcanoes?
Yeah.
What made you interested in volcanoes?
Because my sister did one in 4th grade.
Oh, so you remember seeing her do it?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you did?
So I made this volcano out of clay, and I used vinegar, ketchup, and dish soap, and
And a little baking soda?
yeah.
To simulate it, can we get a demonstration?
Yeah.
So the ketchup is to simulate the color of the lava?
No, the ketchup is to make it bubble over.
Oh, great. Let's take a look. Very nice. Great demonstration. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me your name?
Chloe,
Chloe. And what grade are you in, Chloe?
3rd.
All right. So you were experimenting with crystals?
Yeah.
All right. Can you show us what you did?
Well, so I took borax and sugar, and I tried all 3 of them in different temperatures, which was freezer temperature, refrigerator temperature, and room. And the borax one, on the first night in the freezer, it exploded.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, do we know why that happened?
We don't really have a scientific answer yet.
But you're working on it?
Yeah.
All right, good, good. And so we're looking to see what the different temperatures, what effect it has on it?
Yeah.
What was the room temperature?
Both of them were very successful.
And what about the one that was in the refrigerator?
The 2 that in the refrigerator never formed.
Never formed. And we know what happened to the one in the freezer, huh?
Yeah.
What made you interested in crystals?
It was just an idea that popped in my head.
Okay. Great, thanks so much. Can you tell me your name?
Taylor,
And what grade are you in?
3rd.
And you want to know what lava's made of?
Yes.
How'd you figure that out?
I went online and YouTube.
And you created this here, this volcano?
Mhm.
All
Yes.
right. Can I get a little demonstration?
So I put some
Baking soda?
baking soda, and to make it go higher, I put Dawn, and then I mix some food coloring and some vinegar, and then I pour the baking soda into this cup, not full, but some. And then I pour it in, and then I put vinegar in, and I pour it in, and it makes it explode.
Oh, and that looks like the lava, huh?
Mhm.
And with a little bit of red food coloring?
Yeah.
Oh, great job.
So if it's spinning, look
Yes.
at it. It's going up and up and up, but up. But if I stop it, it's going down and down and down.
And does this have to do with energy?
Energy, yes.
Great.
I missed a little at the beginning of that, so I'll do a little.
And also there's different types. So there's a one that the water flows to down, it goes up and around, and then it goes there, right down, right? And then there's this one, it goes up here, and then it just drops down there. And also ones with buckets.
Okay. Great job. Thank you for sharing with us about your water wheel.
Okay.
Thanks, Jackson. Great. What's your name?
Ethan.
And what grade are you in, Ethan?
First.
And what's your name?
Liam.
And what grade are you in?
First.
All right, let's talk about your project. Why does the moon change shape? Who wants to tell me a little bit about it? Oh, go ahead, Ethan.
Because the Earth casts a shadow on the moon.
Okay. So based on that, does the shape actually change of the moon?
If you walk around the Earth with the moon.
And how did you study this?
By having a beach ball Earth for the Earth and having a steady form ball for the moon and I was the sun. Yeah,
so does the moon actually change the shape, or does it look like it changes the shape based upon the light?
It looks like it changes shape, but it doesn't actually change shape.
Very nice. Great job. Thank you for sharing that with me. Great. So can you tell me your name?
Keen.
And what grade are you in?
Third.
And your name?
Matt, and I'm in third. Ani, and I'm in third.
All right, so we're talking about volcanoes. What in particular are we talking about for volcanoes?
Well, volcanoes cause the most deaths, but we were wrong about that. And earthquakes really cause the most deaths.
So you were wondering about which natural disasters cause the most deaths?
Yeah.
And your hypothesis was volcanoes?
Yep, and do you want to see it explode?
Sure, let's take a look.
Okay. So dump a little baking soda and dump the rest of it.
Okay, just gonna dump a little.
And next we have to.
It fizzes up, and then add the baking soda to get a little extra.
Okay, fizz, yay. Keen, do you have any more baking soda in there? Vinegar.
Yeah.
Dump it in.
No!
There we go. Now
it's hyper. Hyper.
It's hyper. Hyperactive volcano.
It's hyper. Okay.
Nice job, guys. Thanks for the demonstration.
You are welcome.
Thank you. What's your name?
Rocco.
And what grade are you in?
First grade.
Great. So you want to talk about recycling? Was that your project?
No. How climate change affects polar bears.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Polar bears live in the Arctic.
And so how can we save them with climate change?
Recycling, use clean energy, conserve energy.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Can you tell me your name?
Sophie,
And what grade are you in?
second.
And you are looking at bubbles?
Yeah.
Tell me about your experiment or your project.
That one's made out of water and corn syrup. This one's made. No, this one's made out of corn syrup. That one's made out of dish soap, detergent, and water. That one's made out of water and detergent.
And you wanted to see which ones made the most bubbles or the biggest bubbles or
Yeah.
what?
Water and detergent made the most.
That was the best?
Yeah.
And that was solution number one?
Yeah.
Okay. Great job. Thanks so much for sharing.
Okay, bye.
All right. Can you tell me your name?
My name's Mia,
What grade are you in, Mia?
4th grade. I'm Victoria, and I'm in 4th.
Fourth grade also. Okay, so what did you investigate for your experiment?
We did 3 experiments, but we're going to be talking about this one.
What impact does Skittles have on these different liquids?
For water, it kind of disappears, because we've had it for dissolves, yeah. And then for oil, it kind of doesn't really do a lot. It kind of just it doesn't do anything. For rubbing alcohol, it dissolves the food coloring from it. And then for vinegar, it kind of doesn't disappear, but it melts to the bottom.
Okay, great job. Thanks so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, girls.
Angelo.
And what grade are you in?
First.
All right, so you're trying to figure out what floats?
Mm-hmm.
So are you looking at some density here?
Yes.
All right, what are some of the things you put in there and which ones floated and which ones did not?
I put in a stress ball and it floated, and I put in a spider. A snake toy, and it sinked, and cardboard floated, and Spider-Man sinked, and his head floated, and another ball floated, and the piece of wood also floated, like the pen and pencil.
So you tried a lot of different things, huh?
Uh-huh.
Well, you did a really great job, and I see all the results of all the different things, which things sunk, which things floated, and some things floated first, then sunk, huh?
Uh-huh.
Great job. Thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Bye.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
What's your name?
Carter.
And what grade are you in, Carter?
Well, kindergarten.
Kindergarten? And you were doing gummy bears?
Yeah.
What were you looking at with gummy bears?
See how they grow and
Let's take a look. You put them in water, salt water, baking soda, and vinegar. What happened when you put the gummy bears in those different liquids?
They change it to like big and small.
So let's see, the salt water, it shrunk the bear,
Yes.
and the baking soda, the bear, what happened? It grew a little bit, and vinegar, it started to
Make it bubble.
make a bubble, dissolved a little bit. Okay, great job. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. Can you tell me your name?
My name is Jake.
What grade are you in?
Second.
Okay, great. Can you tell me about what you did with catapults?
I made a catapult with my father.
How does catapults work?
I
Is it a spring release?
Well, I let go of the string,
Yes.
and once it stops right here, the projectile will keep on going like
All
this.
right, can you give us a demonstration with it?
Yes.
Wow, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Hi, Desmond, what grade are you in?
First.
First grade, and you did paper airplane test flights. Can you tell me what you did?
I did paper airplanes and I did nothing else.
So let's look at some of these here. What did you do? You made different sizes, looked at different wings, different types of paper. What's the best way to make the best airplane? What did you find? Which paper airplane flew the best?
This one.
Really? Now, why that one, do you think?
Because it flew the farthest.
Can we get a quick demonstration?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see.
I like to wind this one up.
That's pretty good. It's about 10 feet.
It did farther than that.
It did further than 10 feet, you think?
Yeah,
All right.
it really did go farther in the test, but I think I did it too hard.
Well, you know what? I think you did a great job. Thanks so much for sharing that with me.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.